Hello, welcome to the Single African Market, the program dedicated to trumpeting the vision of the continent of Africa to create a single market for its people, for its nations. Now, 21st of September every year has been dedicated by Ghanaians to celebrate its first president. One of the legacies of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was to fight and advocate for the creation of a common market for Africa, to have an integrated market in which Africans can trade among themselves. So on this day, we want to take you back into some of the things Dr. Kwame Nkrumah stood for and how he was able to carry his compatriots along.
We must begin to build immediately our own continental common market. For it is easy for anyone who studies the common market organization closely to realize that the common market is aimed at harnessing the African countries to satisfy the profit lust of the imperialist bloc and to prevent us from following an independent neutralist policy.
In March 1957, Ghana became the first African country to gain independence as leaders from far and near witnessed the independence celebrations, and the British, the former colonial masters, were proud of the peaceful transfer of authority.
Our independence is meaningless unless it links up the total liberation of the African continent.
Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, subsequently charged his fellow Africans to pursue a common and a single African market or risk jeopardizing the future of industrialization for the young African nations.
If we throw in our lot with the common market, we shall doom the economy of Africa to a state of perpetual subjection to the economy of Western Europe. This will, of course, hinder the industrialization of our young African states. It is impossible to think of economic development and national independence without possessing an unfettered capacity for maintaining a strong industrial power. This is another reason why we should come together in a unified African economic plan.
And hailed as the father of African nationalism, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's call resonated among his compatriots, and fellow leaders in the continent spoke with one voice, calling for a single market for the continent of Africa.
The Liberian delegation therefore believes that there should be coordination of transportation networks between coastal and landlocked countries to enable the movement of people and the exportation of things.
President Secretary urged the establishment of an African common market, the formation of an African Development Bank, the improvement in communication between African states. Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, we have created a spirit of Africa. This spirit is our child, and we must continue to develop it. African unity is just unity of thought, President Nasser said.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The goal of political independence, once achieved, must be used for the economic reconstruction of Africa. We Africans can unite. We are not incapable of unity, and we will unite for the good of our country and our people.
64 years on since Ghana gained independence, the dream of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and earlier leaders on the continent has materialized. Africa has fully established the African Continental Free Trade Area to boost intra-African trade with its Secretariat headquartered in Accra, Ghana's capital.
The decision we make here now will not only influence the lives of the 280 million inhabitants of our continent today. These decisions will influence the course of events for countless generations. Africa must unite.
So 64 years down the line, the people of Africa has been able to materialize the dream of its leaders to create a continent that has one market and operates within it. And fortunately, implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement has commenced. It began on the 1st of January this year, 2021. Now, just this week, regional economic communities of all African countries, they gathered in Accra, some virtually, some physically, to look at how the AfCFTA is going and how it can build on the successes of the regional economic communities. The AfCFTA, since its launch and the subsequent appointment of its first Secretary General, His Excellency Wamkele Mene, a South African, has so far officially commenced implementation since 1st January 2021. The first coordination meeting of the heads of regional economic communities, RECs, on the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, began from Saturday 18th September to 20th September 2021 in Accra, Ghana. Various heads of regional economic communities, RECs, including the Arab Maghreb Union, UMA, Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, Southern African Development Community, SADC, Community of Sahel-Saharan States, CENSAT, East African Community, EAC, Economic Community of Central African States, ECAS, and Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD. At the close of the three-day meeting of the first coordination meeting of the heads of regional economic communities on the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, the Secretary General said the AfCFTA is going to be built on the successes of the regional economic communities. His Excellency Wamkele Mene seized the opportunity to update the continent on the status of negotiations with major protocols under AfCFTA, such as the rules of origin.
We are now at a point of 86% concluded on rules of origin. The outstanding areas are sugar, automobiles, textiles and clothing, and there's about 1.5 to 2% of tariff lines, edible oils, fish products that are not yet concluded. We hope that that work will be concluded by the end of the month.
The AfCFTA Secretary General urged both the regional economic communities and the AfCFTA Secretariat to fast-track the negotiations on rules of origin.
At the level of the RECs, as well as the Secretariat, we should jointly fast-track the completion of the rules of origin manual, because that is where customs unions will be implementing the rules of origin.
His Excellency Wamkele charged the continent to rethink its approach towards goods that are produced in special economic zones within Africa.
Many countries on the continent have invested millions and millions of dollars in special economic zones, and they generate jobs, they generate investment, and so we cannot ignore special economic zones as we implement the agreement in Africa. We are very willing to accept products that are produced from special economic zones that come from outside of the continent. And yet, special goods that are produced by in special economic zones in Africa, we tend to treat them differently.
The Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, in a speech read on his behalf by the Senior Presidential Advisor, Yaw Osafo-Maffo, applauded the AfCFTA Secretariat and its Secretary General for their remarkable output in bringing Africa closer to the realization of its dream of an integrated common market.
His Excellency Wamkele Mene, for your commitment, zeal and determination to make the AfCFTA dream a reality.
The Vice President, however, called for speedy implementation processes of the AfCFTA.
While comparative figures for America was 47%, Asia 61%, Europe 67%, and Oceania 7%. We're talking about 2%. So there is a problem. These figures, as you go through, is staggering, and we cannot just accept them as they are. We have to do something to alter this picture, and you have the means to do it, and hurry to do it.
He bemoaned the low level of intra-African trade and called for a supportive and vibrant regional economic communities, RECs.
Without a doubt, the scale and scope of these benefits depend on the effective implementation of the AfCFTA, including strengthened performance of the regional economic communities.
So a lot have been achieved when it comes to the AfCFTA, but we can't also say that everything looks good, because not long ago, and we have covered it on this platform, we heard Mali has been sanctioned because of coup over there. We heard Guinea has also been sanctioned because of coup over there in that country. Indeed, these countries were playing significant role when it comes to the AfCFTA. They were contributing significantly. So now that they have been sanctioned, what happens to this whole vision? And if we get some of these pockets of issues here and there, how does that affect trading on the continent of Africa and the vision of the continent to create a single market for itself? I sat down with the Secretary General of the Continental Free Trade Secretariat, His Excellency Wamkele Mene.
Mali and Guinea-Conakry have both been suspended by both the African Union as well as ECOWAS. That means that they cannot participate at our events, they cannot attend meetings, they cannot speak in meetings until that sanction is lifted. From a trade point of view, it means that where there were preferences that we were extending to one another, if Ghana was extending preferences to Mali or Guinea, those preferences now become automatically suspended. And trade will happen with Guinea or Mali. Trade will now happen on non-preferential terms. And so, in other words, they don't get the benefit. Under law, they don't get the benefit of preferences that they ordinarily would get in a trade agreement of the African Union. I can't speak for ECOWAS, but certainly I can speak for the African Union and the AfCFTA. So that's what it means in effect. In practice, of course, it's very difficult to monitor that because goods are crossing the border. And so it's a very, very difficult exercise to put into practice. But de jure, they have been suspended along with the preferences that they would ordinarily be entitled to under the AfCFTA. What I will say is that both ECOWAS and the African Union have very, very strongly condemned the coup d'etats in Guinea and in Mali. Of course, as you know, ECOWAS under President Akufo Addo has been very, very clear in condemning the use of force and unconstitutional means of taking power, and undemocratic means of taking power. And so I think both ECOWAS and the African Union have been absolutely abundantly clear on this. From a trade point of view, as I've just said, it means that these countries will not benefit from preferences of the AfCFTA.
Were these countries playing major roles in any of the AfCFTA arrangements? We understand that Mali, for instance, was a rapporteur, and so at some point you had to replace. What about Guinea, or were they playing some role that needs to be worked out?
Well, they were both playing very important roles in the negotiations. Their ministers of trade were very, very active. Their senior trade officials were very, very active. Regrettably, we no longer have the benefit of their expertise as individuals because they cannot participate in the meetings. So it is a matter of regret that they can no longer make a contribution. I think that's really the important point, is that they were making contributions in the discussions and the negotiations. They were able to enrich our discussions, and now that will not happen anymore until the suspension is lifted. Mali was a rapporteur, as you correctly said. Previously, Guinea was also in the bureau before the coup d'etat in Guinea. So it is really a regrettable set of circumstances that important contributions that they were making will no longer be possible going forward as long as the suspension is in operation.
There have been calls to include or make security a protocol within the AfCFTA protocols to deal with it, looking at all these things that are happening, the coup d'etats and how to deal with them. Do you think that it's about time that security becomes a matter of protocol, becomes a protocol in the AfCFTA agreement?
I think that the African Union is well capacitated to deal with security issues, whether they are trade-related, cyber-related, any other form of security, we have a department, we have a commissioner for peace and security, and they have the capacity, the skills, and the experience to deal with any security-related issues that may arise. I'm not clear how, in the context of trade, how we could have a protocol to deal with issues of security. I think the African Union, the current African Union Commissioner and the department that he leads, I think they are well capacitated to deal with security issues. To the extent that there are security issues that have an impact on trade, there again, the trade agreement does speak to issues of national security and instability, but from a very narrow sense, a very narrow point of view of regulation of trade across borders. So I think with the arrangements that we have and the provisions in the agreement establishing the AfCFTA are adequate. Where there is a classical security protocol to be developed, I think that would be the Peace and Security Department of the African Union.
Looking at how far you have, you and your team and the Secretariat have brought this whole agreement to, and these interruptions when it comes to conflict, when it comes to insecurities and coups and all of that, what would be your call to the continent?
These, they are very disruptive. They disrupt trade, they disrupt economic activity, and more importantly, they disrupt the lives of small, medium enterprises that are led by women. They disrupt the lives of women traders who trade across borders because they are not able to access the other side of the border. So they are significantly disruptive to people's economic lives and economic activity. So I regret that these things keep happening. However, as I said earlier, the African Union has been very, very clear in condemning the coup d'etat in Mali and in Guinea. We will look to the political leadership to resolve these challenges, and I believe that efforts are at hand, that President Akufo Addo is leading on behalf of ECOWAS. And so we look forward to a solution because we require peace and stability for trade and for commerce. If there is no peace and stability, there's very little trade that happens. And so it is in the interests of everybody. It is in the interest of even the military junta itself that we get back to democratic order as soon as possible, get back to a constitutional order as soon as possible, so that we can commence in Guinea, in Mali, the work of implementing the AfCFTA, so that women in trade can benefit, small, medium enterprises can benefit, and traders across our borders can benefit. As long as these conditions of instability prevail, we will not be able to see the trade, the boost in intra-Africa trade that we want to see.
So the continent will indeed be missing the contributions and the significant role of these countries, that is Mali as well as Guinea. We hope that we will never get to hear any of such stories coming again. Now, this is why when the chairperson of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, who is also the president of the Republic of Ghana, whose country the Secretariat is located as well, when he had the world stage, that is at the UN, the United Nations General Assembly, he never minced words about the contribution of the AfCFTA and the role that it's playing and all of that, and also condemning some of the difficulties that we are seeing around the region and also around the sub-region when it comes to instability and insecurity.
In West Africa, recent events in Mali and Guinea have undermined democratic governance in our region. ECOWAS, the regional body whose authority I have the honor to be the current chair, is unreservedly committed to maintaining democratic governance in the ECOWAS community. That is why both Guinea and Mali, foundation members of the community, have been suspended from its organization pending the restoration of democratic governance. The Africa Vaccine Acquisition Task Force vaccine program, partly manufactured in South Africa, is the single largest and most far-reaching trade transaction since the entry into force of the African Continental Free Trade Area in January this year. It is eloquent testimony to the benefits of domestic production and pooled procurement in Africa as envisaged by the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
And when the President of the Republic of Ghana and the chairperson of the ECOWAS also got the chance to meet the Vice President of the United States of America, he again didn't mince words. He called for cooperation in dealing with insurgencies on the continent of Africa, particularly on the ECOWAS sub-region.
Other main preoccupation for us is the cooperation that we have to put together to defeat the jihadist insurgency in the Sahel. It's a major security preoccupation. The G5 Sahel, ECOWAS, the Lake Chad Initiative, all these are the organizations that have come together to try and push back. Many of those who are leading the jihadist insurrection in West Africa are the people who came from Iraq after they were driven out from Iraq to Ghana. So I think that there's some information here that can assist us in being able to track down and deal with these people.
But the Vice President of the United States did not also hesitate to cite Ghana as a very, very good example on the continent of Africa that has created a very stable environment with a thriving economy and all of that, for which reason Americans love to do a lot of business with Ghanaians or in Ghana.
American companies continue to ramp up in Ghana, understanding the significance of the work that they do there to America's economy, much less to the partnership between Ghana and the United States. And they do this also because they have confidence in the government of Ghana and the environment, Mr. President, that you have created, which allows for some confidence in the respect and upholding of the rule of law and human rights. And so with all of that, we look forward to continuing to work together.
And talking about how other nationals love to do business with Ghanaians, the German Development Corporation, the GIZ, has been doing a lot together with Ghanaian stakeholders when it comes to sensitization regarding the African Continental Free Trade Area. The German Development Corporation, GIZ, continues its efforts in support to sensitize virtually all stakeholders on the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, in Ghana. GIZ held a training seminar for officials of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority to update them on the current status of the AfCFTA.
This is 1.3 billion market. How are we going to take advantage if we don't even know the categories of exporters into the market?
The customs officials were briefed on the current state of major protocols of the AfCFTA in preparation towards full implementation of the AfCFTA.
We said we started trading in January, and up to now, we are not trading. We are not trading because of customs documentation. We are not trading because the agreed rules of origin, the rules accompanying the products, are still under discussion. We said we need 90% threshold to be able to trade, and now we are around 86%, and we hope to get it wrapped up.
The GIZ has a close cooperation with the regional economic communities on the continent to ensure effective continental and regional levels linkages.
We are supporting the African Union Commission and the AfCFTA Secretariat to implement the AfCFTA and then also to conclude the outstanding negotiations on the AfCFTA. As you may know, trading has started under the AfCFTA, and so we are in implementation mode.
GIZ says they believe that in rapidly changing Africa, the AfCFTA can be a driving wheel for the continent to accelerate its development, and is therefore proud to associate with Africa's vision to create a single African market. So GIZ is a proud associate of this program, aside the many things they've been doing, and we will endeavor to be showing you virtually everything and around the AfCFTA that GIZ is supporting. So one of the major stakeholders that's also a beneficiary of what GIZ is doing is entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs in this country have been sensitized by GIZ to understand the AfCFTA better, use it effectively, and to be able to remain competitive following the oncoming of the AfCFTA. UNDP has also been supporting a lot of entrepreneurs to produce more, add value, and all of that. This week, one of our entrepreneurs is adding value to tailoring job. Our entrepreneur is sewing gowns for presidents on the continent of Africa. He's sewing gowns for professors and universities all across Africa.
I was in the corporate field, and then I decided to relegate it and then come and establish my own. Already, I know how to sew. 2014, I came to establish CDM Fashion Couture, where we sew corporate wear, like men's wear, shirts, trousers, suits, and then the women also skirt, suit and top, kaba, and then the young ones. We've been doing this, and then we also gain contract from the schools of higher learning, that is universities, to sew gowns from bachelors, masters, PhDs, and then the ceremonial ones for the principal officers, that is the VCs, and then the translators, registrars. We have sewn so many gowns for universities in Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, and then Togo. The uniqueness comes from our finishing. Most of our customers will go and order gowns, and eventually when they meet us, they say, oh, if we had known, like we wouldn't travel all the way to UK, China to produce it. The University of Ghana, they are PhD gowns. I saw some for them. Accra Technical University, Central University, Pentecost University. Since COVID started from 2020, most of the graduates from universities outside Ghana, in the US, Canada, UK, Italy, Korea, they come to sew same gowns as they have, so they can wear for their virtual exhibitions and graduations. And then we have also sewn for presidents of West African countries, about 8 of them. We have done for Adama Barrow, we have done for Mada Bio of Sierra Leone, we have done for President Oponria of Liberia, President Akufo Addo of Ghana, former President Kufuor. We have sewn gown for, and former President Rawlings. It tells you all that we have the standard and we can meet every standard across the region. We are importing our fabrics from Nigeria, and then we sew in Ghana. So it means that we are already doing what AfCFTA is bringing on board. So we embrace that. And if AfCFTA is coming on board with this free trade, it is going to make our work much more easier. So we import, we sew, and then we also in turn export to most of the West African countries that I already mentioned that we are sewing for. So it is a good idea. AfCFTA is on board now. We are already embracing their idea of importing and exporting within ourselves. Some are coming from NGOs, some are also coming from the universities. They come to do their attachment internship here. And also we have apprenticeship base that we take those that are interested to come and learn as apprentices. So across board, we have trained 1,000 and over youth. And with the inception of AfCFTA, we are planning to take not only youth in Ghana, but from other West African countries. Already I have Togolese here who are working with me, and I'm training them as well.
C'est bien qu'on apprend couture au Ghana, c'est bon, je viens du Togo. C'est bon qu'on prend le culture au Ghana. C'est bien.
We are anticipating to train within a year 3,000 students, and we are expecting students not only from Ghana, from Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Niger to come on board. This academic gown we see here is for first degree holders, and then the red one you see also is for second degree holder, that is masters. The prophets have their gowns they wear, the bishops have their gowns there, the archbishop have their gowns they wear. So we do all those here. The gown you see here is a ceremonial gown designed for a registrar. And then what you see here also is master's gown. What my lady is also ironing is a PhD gown worn by PhD holders and then professors. We have teachers, experts that can translate English to French so that it will suit the purpose. We have some of the institutions that will tell us that we went to UK to engage their services there, but when we met you, we've seen that the standards are the same. So if a Ghanaian is doing this, why don't we engage the services of the Ghanaian to do that? So that is why you could clearly tell that we have so many others, not only in Ghana. Cote d'Ivoire Ivorians, they come and they say, we like this standard. The Nigerians are also saying, we like your standard. And so based on that fact, they go with our products and they go and sell us out there. So we are getting orders from Cote d'Ivoire, we are getting orders from Niger, we are getting orders from even as far as Korea. They come to sew their gowns here. Italians are coming on board to sew their gowns. One, the cost is also within their treasury, so they prefer coming to us. And we use good quality fabric to do it. That stands all times.
So if you're a fashion designer or you're a tailor or a seamstress, your colleague is sewing for presidents, you can equally do same. Add value to it and look at the market around you, Togo, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, and see how you can sell to them. Now, all the faces you saw in that piece, it's not as if they were just brought in there. They are all faces of people that particular designer or tailor has sewn gowns for and has sewn stuff for them to wear. Presidents, professors, university graduates, and a lot of people. And he's training a lot of people, about 3,000 people. He's got a school and all of that. You can equally grow and expand with the oncoming of AfCFTA. The market has been created for you. Some news and events around the AfCFTA are next. The head of Chad's military junta, Mahamat Idris Deby, has named 93 members of a new interim parliament 5 months after declaring himself leader following the death of his father, Idris Deby. He said, quote, the following people have been designated members of the National Transitional Council, unquote. Chad is a party state to the AfCFTA and is one of the early countries to have signed on to the agreement and deposited its instrument of ratification after Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, and Niger. Flight schedules for all African cities, as well as the weather report for African cities, the forex rate for the African market, and the AfCFTA status for party states. Thanks for watching the program. It's dedicated to expose you to every activity around the AfCFTA. So don't be there and say, oh, we've heard about the AfCFTA, we don't know what's going on. Get to know what's going on here. And we will also be getting down there. We will be rolling up the sleeves. At the appropriate time, you will see us almost every corner. The carpenter's place, the mechanic's place, and get every information that you need to know when it comes to the AfCFTA to you. Thanks to the Secretariat, the National Office, the Ministries of Trade, as well as the Ministry of Information. See you same time next week.
In the name of great Africa, is the fight and conquer now.